Hi there, Robin here. It's story time. When I started the Unforgettable Faces project, before I had a name for the project, I was just enjoying painting the wonderful faces that I found in the streets of my city, here in Baños de Agua Santa, Tungurahua, Ecuador. The big lesson that I learned from doing this project has become so much more than just creating art. It's about giving back. It's about giving back to my community. When my children and I started taking lessons in Spanish to acclimate to our new adopted home, just after we moved here, our teacher was a principal of an elementary school, and he thought it would be interesting for us to experience a school assembly. So we went to it, and what we found out is that school assemblies are virtually all the same, whether they're inside a gymnasium like they can be in Canada or outside under a roof like they can be sometimes here in Ecuador. So yeah, the bottom denominator is they're all boring and really non-eventful. However, an older gentleman approached me with his two darling grandchildren in tow, and you could tell that maybe he was wearing his best suit, and the kids were sparkling clean in their school uniforms. It was so sweet. Then he asked me to please take their picture, and so I did. And this was 14 years ago, so I don't even have those images anymore, I'm sad to tell you. I took the photos because he was so proud of his grandchildren, and then he said thank you, and we parted ways. I am sure that he didn't think we moved here or were living here, and I don't think he thought that he could expect the photos for himself or his family. And I thought it would be kind of nice to have the photos processed and printed so I could give it to him and his family as a memento for the children doing well in school. I carried the packet of photos around with me in my backpack for quite a while, several months really, hoping that I would run into this charming gentleman again. So let's call him Abuelo, or grandfather. I found him in the streets near my home, and I gave him the photo package. And he looked at me with kind of an awe, shock, maybe a bit of surprise, holding the photos and not really knowing what to do. I had just a few words in my vocabulary, and I had practiced this one over and over again to get it right. And it's regalo, or gift. I said this, and he gratefully shook my hand and said gracias and something akin to God bless you. I was enchanted in the honest and genuine way of his gratitude, and I was touched. And from then on, every time I could never walk through the streets when he was there without him giving me saludos or hello, a wonderful little greeting. If he was across the street, I would run across the street to make sure that he got acknowledged, and sometimes I would get a hug as well. And I would do that because you could tell that if I didn't at least say hello, that I would hurt his feelings, and I didn't want that to happen. So I always took the time to greet him. He really is that special, and he has a smile worth enjoying, and it always makes my day so much happier. I could often find Abuelo in the church park, and he would go out when the day was warm and welcoming and feed the pigeons. And they, like pigeons do when there's free food, gather around him. And he would smile at them and talk to them. And I would see him often and enjoy the fact that the pigeons had become like his little friends and hang out with him. Of course, I had to capture this vision in a photo to make a painting of it. I wanted to capture this memory. Is that quiet calm with the pigeons in the park. Abuelo is not a man who looks like he has a lot of financial means, but I think he's rich in so many other ways. He gives me an impression of tenderness in his relationships with his family, his friends, and even the animals in his life, obviously with the pigeons, but he also used to have a large black dog that would accompany him on occasion to town. And it would seem more like a friendship between the two of them, so that was even more sweet. Occasionally, I would see him by the shoe polishers, and he would be chatting and gossiping under the cool shadows of the trees. He would always get up when he saw me and give me that special smile and a hug. And when I finally completed the painting, I gave it to him. And again, he was confused. But a friend of mine, fortunately, explained to him that I'd made this painting of him as a gift, giving away my art to people who had helped give me such wonderful memories of my little town. He gathered himself up and proudly smiled, almost as if he were representing gratitude for his whole city. It was breathtaking. And again, I was given another hug, and this time he started to ask about my family, and hopefully all was well with them too. And even though we don't know each other's names, we are very fond of each other, because really, a name is not all that important sometimes. To know a person, to know about a person, it's in their hearts and their actions. So after the great COVID scare in our town, with our new adopted second puppy, my husband and I were walking in the street. I hadn't seen Abuelo for a long time, like a year and a half. And I was sad and kind of concerned because, well, I didn't quite know whom to ask about him because I had never had a name. Yeah, there was always this low-grade worry, you know. Anyway, as we were walking, exercising the dogs and getting them acclimated to his leash and so on, we took a road we don't normally take. And there he was, with another grandchild. But this one was helping him to walk. When he saw me, his face lit up, and I was rewarded with such a wonderful special greeting that was just for me. And here's how we greet each other. He says to me, "Ah, los tiempos." And then he crosses his hands and opens them and says, "Está bien?" or "All is well." And I say, "Sí, ¿y tú?" "Yes, and you?" And he says, "Sí, bueno." And then he opens his arms and smiles. Unfortunately, at this point, we're not hugging because, COVID. And I think Abuelo is vulnerable, so I would never risk his health. But it still gives me such a warm and happy feeling. We smile again, and this time he told me, well, his legs are not as strong as they used to be. And the walk into town is a bit hard for him. Even though it's maybe only 6 blocks away, he's a little more fragile than he was. And we smile again, and sadly this time, because we know that time is marching on no matter what. But he knows I care, and I know he cares. Time will pass, but he will always be such a wonderful person in my life. And it's one of the best and kindest memories I have of my little town. So I made another picture of him for myself. I don't often do that, but this is important to me. I'm grateful that he knows I think that he's an amazing, unforgettable face. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments below and consider subscribing to this channel for more about art inspiration, and stories. Thank you for watching.